All right, it's now 4:32 on Tuesday, June 2nd. We're at the Community Center for our regular first of the month council meeting, and I will call that to order. We have a roll call, please.
Gregor?
Here.
Berquist? Here. Hanson?
Here.
Hess?
Here.
Keen? Here.
All right, full council is present, and we have a flag, so we can stand. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next matter on the agenda is the consent agenda. This is the listing of various separate categories on the agenda that are perceived to be not very controversial, so we usually adopt them in one single motion, approve them, with the exception that any councilors have any matters they want withdrawn from the consent agenda. All right, seeing none.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilor Hess to approve the consent agenda. Is there support? Supported by Councilor Hanson. Now, last chance. Any comments or not? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our consent agenda is adopted. And we move on to public appearances. Mr. Levy, would you like to say anything officially on the record? Or?
Well, you all have by now my letter, I assume, and that's on the agenda. But I would just hope that the council would not let perfect be the enemy of good. I would hope you would still withdraw the parks from consideration for future development. You have that authority today. You can make that resolution, you can pull them off that list. And I would hope you would do that as soon as you could. There's no sense leaving them out there so other people think like, hey, I can go there. I mean, I think the community spoke pretty loud at the zoning meeting that they do not want their parks developed. And when I was looking, I looked up in this, for future development, it says that anybody doing a future subdevelopment has to give 10% of the land towards development of a park or green space or public thing. That's also in my letter. I think the intent is pretty clear that we support future housing. I support future housing, but not at the expense of our parks. You know, I support them. The code, the city code itself in 152.26 supports future housing, but it says you will either give park land to park or provide the city with money to buy other land for a park. It's pretty explicit. I don't think that the city park should be developed in any way outside the use of public use for parks.
Good. Well, obviously, a number of citizens also clearly showing up to the meeting there, and I think all of us have learned a lot about the history. We do keep revisiting it about, whatever, 5 or 6 years. So hopefully we are laying in a record of information and determination, right, that will be a benefit to future councils. Right. So. Thanks for the comments. All right, and we don't have any Zoom, so no one's on a Zoom session. And we've had kind of our reports from staff members. Any other city administrator? Staff members? All right. So moving then on into reports from councilors. Councilor Keen.
Hi. So this last month, so just yesterday, the HRA reviewed 15 applications for our mini grant program. We're happy to have those. They were passed and accepted, and recipients will be getting letters. New this year with that program is lawn signs to help continue to grow that program, and wishing you the best. And so last weekend, we also had a successful reboot of our community-wide rummage sale. It turned out really nice, and we're looking forward, the chamber's looking forward to doing that again with continued growth to rebuild back where it was and beyond. I want to remind the community that there is a coffee and meeting for seniors and others. All welcome up at the hospital every Tuesday at 9:30. Everybody's welcome. Residents from our community, our long-term care unit also attend. So it's just great, there's no cost, come and join in. Social moment. On the 26th, I helped organize a Habitat Humanity work day for other coworkers of mine, and we really enjoyed working with that for the Aurora build over in the Sunset Acres neighborhood. So I know that Tucker Nelson, the community engagement coordinator for North St. Louis County, he said there's a few more projects, so anybody is welcome to reach out to him if they would like to contribute in that manner as well. So we welcome that project and hope you can get out there and help. I attended the Healthy Aging Senior Expo up in Ely. What a great opportunity for seniors to come together and have speakers. I look forward to bringing something similar to that here in our community. Our partners hosted it, and so just if there's a group out there interested in hosting, that would be something I'd love to talk with and help. We also had the Rams meeting in this building, and that was very informative, and I think that's all of it. It's been a busy month.
How many, the rummage sale, how many,
This month, this year we only had, was it 8? And typically, like the one I had seen previous, like there wasn't one last year. And then the year before, there was like 20 something. And so it's been bigger. And so it's in a rebuilding phase. But I believe the chamber current members are committed to doing that. And so we have established like our logos we'll maintain and like going more digital. And we're going to be implementing like earlier registration, earlier calendar releases, and all of that. I liked, and I heard positive feedback from community members that we placed it just before the community pickup date, so you can have your cell, and if it doesn't sell, you can put it to the curb and get it picked up. So that was nice.
thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Berquist.
Well, I also attended the Rams mining update. They provided a lot of good information on potential budget impacts of the current situation in our area, and hopeful impacts from the potential startup of particularly the Wasabi Metallics. It'll be really interesting to see how it plays out in the next couple of years. I want to say thanks to the cemetery cleanup crew and Public Works and the Legion volunteers for a really nice Memorial Day service. The cemetery looked fantastic. Fire department is still looking for volunteers. Really need people up there. As well as to remind everyone it is dry. We are in wildfire season. Please check burning restrictions before you have or in your fire pits. We don't need anything spreading through town. There's another one up by Birdside right now. And then reminder that tomorrow is the citywide large garbage pickup day. So if you haven't had anything thought about it, or you missed garbage already this week, tomorrow's your chance. That's what I've got.
Very good, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hanson.
Tomorrow and Wednesday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Or today and Wednesday. Yeah, yesterday and today.
Tomorrow's large pickup.
Yeah.
Thursday's brush.
Yep.
Rush.
I was gonna mention that, but I'm glad that they brought it up. The other thing, just a reminder, is the Text My Gov app is up and running. So if you, I've been involved with something similar to this in the past, and it is really nice. And so if you have any questions about how to do it, I'm sure City Hall, contact them. It's easy to get on, and that way it's a two-way thing. You can, if you have questions, you can text them in, you can answer back, and vice versa. If the city has info they want to get out, they can text it out, and if you're on that app, you'll get it. So it's just another good way to get information.
There's information on our city website, right? How to get onto it.
Yep, there's a little, what's called a widget
Yeah.
on the bottom, but yes, if you need help or assistance, you can always call us.
And I can attest to the fact that it's real easy to get on, because I did. So that's it.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Hanson. Councilor Hess.
Not too much. East Reading Public Safety Board
We interviewed a month ago. We offered a job offer, and our candidate accepted it. He's working as a, what do we want to call it, apprentice or intern right now until he gets all the state boards and stuff like that. So he's actually working with the other officers right now, so looks good for that. So
Great.
the only other thing is to remind people that the construction's starting to be careful driving around town because there's gonna be a lot of moving pieces around. So
Yeah.
stay in the detours and stay out of their way.
The big pieces too.
Yeah, well, yeah, the people's attention will be riveted on all of those things, I'm sure. Does that conclude your report?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I have been distracted by some personal medical things for a while, but I have gone to a few meetings, and the iron ore meeting, to echo Councilor Berquist, I regard that. I've seen now a couple presentations of it, but it's a sobering presentation about how the worldwide iron ore industry is changing both the quality and nature of the products and the production processes and everything. And I don't know that it's publicly available yet on like the IRRB website or anything, but I'm sure for those that might be interested in it, we can get some supplemental materials anyway on some of the points that were raised in that. On the water project, absolutely exciting news. We received confirmation since our last council meeting of the fact that the legislature did enact some remedial text language that didn't provide an additional appropriation, but had the effect of opening up an additional $5 million grant to help fund the costs of the water project. And I had intended to put something in the shopper and things. Basically, we dodged a bullet. By getting that $5 million funding access, it means that the community's debt for that water project will be reduced from about $10 million down to about 5.5, and that should enable our water rates to stay relatively constant. So I think that's, in these times of rising costs, it's a wonderful shot in the arm for the community to not have an additional increase that had to be shouldered for that. And along that line, the water project is proceeding toward its final construction phases, and the team working on that is anticipating that portions of the system as early as late this month could start having the water from the Barris Pit Lake distributed through the water distribution system. And it'll be a shakedown period for a while, but that would be substantial completion, and then they'd be working for final completion of the first phase of the water project, to which Point Lakes then is committed and will be working over the next few years to become a member also, based on the modifications in the water treatment plant and the extension of distribution lines to the city of Point Lakes. So that project's going to be off and running and affecting our grandchildren and beyond probably. It's well designed, and we're assured the water body is adequate to service everyone in the meantime there. So, and along that line, there's going to be a ribbon cutting for that project. It's targeted now for Monday, July 27th. I think we're still working on the details of times and places, but that might be something to put on your calendars to be available for that. Let's see, I think those are kind of the highlights, and let us proceed on the meeting. So, moving there to old business, we have done. That's almost unprecedented in my experience. Congratulations to the administrative staff there. All right, moving on to agenda item 18.1, that regards the county's daily 100 local street and utility project assessment procedures and kind of just discussion, city administrator or city engineer. Do you want to take the lead on that?
I think it's just on this.
Yeah, I know. So,
I think it's background.
So the letter received, I don't know what the date on it, 29th, but that came about after the open house. There is an interested party who is located on North 4th Street West, which is actually, there are 2 residents that would not be impacted by the project on the main part of their house, or the front of their house. And it stops right there, and then they feel that we should continue the project. So something council could consider, but in this letter, basically is asking to either reduce the assessment value that we capped it at. This is not an official assessment at this point. This is just tentative assessments at this point. But the tentative limit was set at $8,500. So he was asking for consideration in a reduction of his assessment, otherwise a continuation of that street. I don't know, don't ask me to measure because I'm going to say it wrong, but that portion there just looks like a little blip of the rest of North 4th Street to Central, which again would hit 2 properties. So that is one piece of this discussion. The other piece is we've been working on obtaining the bond requirement for the city. So we had met with Ellers Financial regarding that, and we have talked very briefly regarding nonprofits or non-tax paying folks and if they're going to be assessed. We also did not specify or change at this point. It was just set at $8,500 was the tentative cap. Again, this is all preliminary for those watching or interested. Nothing has been set in stone, but just something to think about. Ellers had asked us, are we doing anything different regarding like religious worshiping places or anything like the school or commercial? Is there like a distinguishing factor between the limits that we're setting on their assessment value? So something I think we are still planning to do the assessment hearing, hopefully in the fall. I'm thinking September-ish is where that adoption would happen. Hopefully that lines up well. I feel like time is flying, so tentatively in September, but we should start having discussions on those items that are a little bit outstanding, especially if we're going to look into further bonds regarding if Ellers asks us questions on that, we would be able to say, well, right now this is where we're thinking or the council's thinking at this point or whatnot. So council discuss if you were to.
We currently have the assessments are capped at $8,500 across the board right now, correct?
Correct.
All
Yep, there was no distinguishing factor.
and residences?
Say again, I'm
For
sorry.
all businesses and residents?
Yeah, there was no commercial distinguishing. It was just $8,500 per parcel along the project scope. Yep.
Proposed assessment.
Proposed,
Right,
yes,
sorry.
yep,
Sorry, proposed.
And churches were included in our proposed, our assessments before.
We, as far as I'm aware, there was no church in the last one we adopted, so we
I
don't.
remember one a while back, though, so it's past practice.
Yes, and I don't know, I would have to review to see if we've ever done like a lower for them or anything like that, something I could definitely look into, but in terms of the last project, I was not sure, so I could relay that to you guys, but I can look back from further to see. But, yeah, so churches would be, any place of worship should be addressed, but yes, and then commercial businesses, there are quite a bit of commercial businesses, and the school. Not just with one property, but 2. So, something to think about.
Just out of curiosity, in the letter
Yes.
that we received,
Yes,
is there, to the engineer and so on, is there any inherent logic of going to the suggested 4250 in terms of the difference of the improvements to that person's property? Or was it just kind of pulled out of the air maybe?
It wasn't pulled out of the air. So what he references as an alley is actually a platted street. I think it's North 5th Street. The sewer and water do not run back there. Storm sewer does. His sewer comes out of the front of his house on 4th Street, as does his water. I would just state that we did an alley project last year and assessed for that, and so I mean this would be a comparable type improvement. I would guess he's probably hitting the cap as well just for the street improvements. So we capped last year, we're capping this year. I don't, my opinion, he's getting treated as fairly as anyone else we've got a project in front of.
And the intent of the cap is you may have benefits in excess of that, but 8,500 is the cap of the liability.
Correct.
Okay. The other, as long as we have a public audience there, I think what we learned from the alley project was if there are owners of multiple lots, right, they do have an opportunity to petition the county to consolidate those separate lots into a different or consolidated parcel code, right? Yeah, so that now would be a good time for them to perhaps focus on that. I don't know how many fall into that category, but
There's a number of them. That's shown on the assessment roll. I don't think they're combined in the assessment roll. I'd have to go confirm that. But yeah, that would be recommended as they work towards combining their parcels if they're shown on the assessment roll as combined.
well, I'd like it to sort of be on the record so that we don't have people after the fact saying, gee, I didn't know that. But not that everybody watches these meetings, but yeah, it is a lesson or a takeaway at least.
When is the deadline for them to get those combined?
So how we did it last year, because this came up after we adopted the roll, is so once the council adopts the assessment roll, they get a notice of assessment. And so it identifies the terms, the amount, the interest rate, how they can pay it, how they can prepay it. All those things are identified in a certified letter to the property owner. And so last year we added and said, basically, hey, if you got 2 of these for what appears to be a single property, we'll give you the opportunity to combine it into one parcel. But you have, I can't remember if it was 30 or 60 days to do that. We basically said you have 60 days. From there, we're going to file it with the county. Once we file it with the county, it's official. There was, I think there was 2 last year that did take us up on that. So, would I rather do it before that? Absolutely. I mean, they can go do it right now. There's absolutely no reason they can't. It's the education piece that's the challenge.
And I did call Julie with the property records department and actually was asking, came after that Thursday meeting last week regarding that. And so if you applied and you didn't hear back, no news is good news. That means you were more than likely approved for that consolidation request if you followed the proper steps that I laid out for you. But we do still have those forms available, and it's just, you would just work with the county. But we do have those forms in-house too, so. But
Just
lots applied.
so people know, is there any cost to the, to
Consolidation.
consolidate?
They do have to pay their property taxes, both halves, so if you have it split, both the first and second half of property tax have to be
Okay,
paid.
not
but
for the process itself.
Not for the, not to my understanding, that would be the county.
Okay.
They don't have to pay the city.
They do not have to pay the city.
There's probably a filing fee.
I would assume the county might have something,
Oh,
but
okay,
yes.
that's,
And they did not need a survey or anything like that, like a legal boundary survey. I was kind of surprised by that, but they didn't, so.
Does that cover adequately our assessment discussion, or?
I don't know if we want to discuss.
Well, just looking at that $8,500 cap in general, to try to judge like comparable worth or benefit from that, gets pretty difficult. That's the cap, and looking at if you actually calculated the assessments according to the policy, some of the assessments get into $25,000, $27,000. So to cut it in half for somebody based on the benefit they're getting from the project isn't necessarily an apples to apples comparison. When somebody may be getting an $8,500 assessment, even though they had a calculated $27,000 assessment. I don't think a $27,000 assessment is really feasible, which is why we use the caps.
Maybe you could have those discussions with the property owner there to emphasize that the benefit maybe still is worth the 8,500, so.
As far as tax exempt properties, I don't have statistics or anything, but from what I've seen, actually using the assessment for schools, churches, other tax exempt property is pretty common.
So
There is definitely a benefit from the project. They book the project, they get the benefit.
So one of the questions on this project is what is the proposed assessment on the school's parcel? Because that is very much a large parcel compared to all of the residents. And then how does that affect, obviously the taxpayers still have to pay that. So how does that eventually affect them?
The taxpayer?
Well, so what is the proposed assessment currently for the school's portion?
Do they have more than one parcel?
They're
think
capped
they-
like everyone else.
So plague
At
pens,
900?
Huh?
Yep. So
plague
they
pens,
have plague pens
and then the NEPC.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was broken up like the whole district or if it was broken up by school or.
And they actually have one parcel that can't be included because it was included in the alleyway project,
Correct.
Right,
so.
and they got the same cap everyone else did.
Correct.
At one level, it seems inequitable to have such a large benefiting parcel. Are there precedents about other communities have dealt with particularly large tax exempt parcels?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the league's website, there's not gonna be a how-to, right? But I would say in my experience, commercial properties are treated differently, typically more. School properties are typically treated similar to commercial more than residential. Nonprofits as well are treated like a commercial property typically. The whole idea of commercial property is they're using your right of way for profit. At the end of the day, that's what they're doing. And so that's why they are paying a little bit more of a premium for the improvement. Ultimately, it's at your discretion on how you want to go about it. Schools are always an interesting one because now you're assessing the school, which splits it out amongst the district. And so you're gonna have people that are paying the tax twice because they're in town on the project and their kids, and they're paying the school district. You're also gonna reach further. You have people using the school in the district outside the community. So, I mean, there's a plus and a minus to that. Also, another way to think about it too is the more you assess the school their fair portion, you're benefiting the taxpayers of Aurora because it's more of it's going on the district, levy, if you will, and taking some of that burden off of the Aurora taxpayer. And the district is using your community and using your infrastructure for their benefit. So you can look at it a number of different ways. Ultimately, the council needs to decide what best fits their needs.
So they're acutely aware of the sort of limited budgets of the school system. We're all involved at the state and local levels trying to compensate for that, but there is the issue of equity.
Yes, so another question in relation to that is, does our assessment policy specifically call out anything in regards to the school and nonprofits and businesses?
I don't think it does.
Nope.
There's nothing that says you can't modify your policy, right? Like that was always the intent. We could have spent years writing this perfect policy that addresses every situation, and we I always recommend up front, like you address things as they come up, right? It is subject to criticism because then you're making up the rules as you go, but we just can't physically flush out every scenario. And it takes these positions and situations where it's real, where you can put some good thought on how you want to go about it too. And so, reality of the matter too, we're going to assess the school. We probably won't come back for a project to assess something for 20, 30 years potentially. So, the other thing I've seen with schools and budgets, like an $8,500 assessment versus a $20,000 assessment, right? Like in the grand scheme of their budget, that's not a huge impact. They're still going to have an amortized debt over 15 or 20 years, whatever we choose. I mean, their payment is increased because of that. This is probably pretty manageable. I can't speak for them. I don't know their budget, but in general, that's what I've seen in experience.
Other questions, councilors?
Well, I think anybody up or under 85 will pay their full assessment. And I think capping it at, is my opinion, is capping it like we did for everybody is the most equitable. As soon as you, to everybody, everyone is being treated the same. Because I think as soon as you change the rule for one, you're gonna get 15 more with different reasons to have that rule changed to fit them. So everyone will drive on the roads, everyone will use the sewer and water, and it's all part of the system, it's part of living in a community is, you know, you pay it. It costs money to operate.
Just out of curiosity, because since the package of bids for the county city project came in under, what if any impact will that have on the amount that we'd be looking at to assess? Are those benefits that go uniquely to the county, or do they,
So, most of the low bid favored the city. So actually, the county's bid came in a little bit over budget. And so ours came in favorable. I adjusted our numbers for oil and geopolitics before we bid it. And so it did come in favorable, compared to that. But what I would say is the less you assess per property is just more spread out amongst the different money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. What is the comfort level and benefit they're receiving versus the community benefit is really what you're trying to balance.
Yeah, kind of the way the financing is set up, the last dollar in is the general tax levy. So any changes, positive or negative, and in this case, it's to our benefit that the bids came in low, affects probably that general levy over the next 20 years to pay off that bond. That's
so whatever the financing turns out to be, it is a combination though, that the general tax levies will be paying a portion of those improvements as well as the assessments, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Do you have enough answers for?
I think I'll probably bring it back up again. I think this is just good to maybe like a first initial discussion and put this in your minds. So, when you're sitting and wanting to think about something complex, certainly please think about this. But it will be brought up again, so this is not the last time we'll see this on the agenda, but this is, so specifically, I would say, we probably should respond to this person unless you guys feel we can wait until further discussions, unless it sounded like there might be a definitive answer, at least to this request.
I think at this time, it would be, since they're just proposed assessments,
Just wait.
just to wait until the assessment hearing to see what changes between now and then. If that's,
There'll probably be other,
right, there's gonna
individual
be a lot of
issues
comments
that
between
come
now and
in.
then from various people, I'm sure.
Well, and maybe to focus our time just a little bit, is there any thought on the residential and the commercial? That would probably be the biggest factor here. Is
Or
there
do
strong
we-
desire
do we
to
wanna-
keep them the same, or is there openness for options on that?
Do we want to bring back that spreadsheet that you had just, like you were talking about the schools, like how much actually would it cost versus that cap amount? Do you want to, would it be helpful for you all to see that again and see like, hey, this is how much all these parcels technically are?
We have that.
We do, yes, we have it, yes, if you all have it, maybe we can bring that back next time, but, otherwise we have copies of that too, so.
Well, as far as commercial, I think right now, and it's not just here, but small businesses are struggling everywhere. And I think to assess commercial businesses more just because they're a commercial business, I don't think it's a good time.
Already
to
paying
sell.
higher taxes already?
Yeah, they are. And at least at this time, I'd say keep it the way we have.
That sufficient guidance? Good.
I would say so, yeah.
Now, you were suggesting we could take action, but I sense that we're going
Yeah,
to put that off until
Yep.
we. All right. Further on that topic? All right, moving on then to 18.2, special road closure event permit. These are general policies, right, that you've revised?
So I think you jinxed it, Mayor, on the old business, because I think we'll probably more than likely table this, but this was something that was brought up, and actually this had been on the works or on the horizon for a long time, because I do feel it's something that we should have. Council Burgess had seen something similar, so this is essentially from a different city, and I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try at this point. But their population was actually very similar to ours. I think it was 1,800 versus our 1,600. So something that is just a work in progress right now. So I had some comments, Council Burkus had some comments regarding it, but I'd love to hear if council was able to read this, if there were any further comments that you feel should be or should not be included in this. But essentially what my intention was prior to this coming to the council level was just essentially a notification to our police department and our public works department for these and just permission. So it has nothing to do with getting a fee or getting some sort of money, but just specifically like for safety reasons and for crew and staffing reasons, having some sort of notification policy in place that, hey, if you do need streets closed off or things like that, from the city, you fill out this permit. And so this would be the policy and then the application or permit was on the back there.
We fill out one for the county for the 3rd of July.
For the county, no.
You should with closing their street.
Probably should, yeah, I guess I've never thought about that, yeah.
Well, if we've gotten by with it in the past. But, yeah, you're right. It's
You're
good.
fine with it and then somebody gets hurt. then
Right, and then emphasize that it's a county road, right? Yeah, I think sometimes we tend to forget that.
Because we have 2 blocks here that we use for the parade and closed down, it's county highway.
Yeah.
And we used to close even more than that when it went down Third Avenue.
Huh?
So we used to close even more when it went down Third Avenue.
Right. Now we close on July 2nd too, so now you're really making me, yeah.
And I think we should see about that.
I can look into that, definitely.
One quick comment, in number 1, there's no beginning, the beginning time doesn't have an AM or PM.
Say it again.
The beginning time does not have an AM or PM next
Yep.
to it, just minor error, I think. But for clarification purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a little typo on the waiver, the second paragraph down, might just read over that.
I'm gonna have to call the city clerk over the city that I can't pronounce, let her know.
All right, further discussion on that, or you're getting enough, you're just setting in the issue for us?
Essentially, yes, so this will be brought up again, this is so preliminary, but just wanted to hear your thoughts if this is something that we wanted to, maybe align with something else, or if there was a specific issue that the council wants to have on this. But otherwise, this will be on old business next time, so our old business items will be quite on.
Move it to old business for next time.
Yeah.
All right.
8.1,
Moved
8.2.
Moved by Councilor S to table it for the old business next time. Supported by Councilor Hanson. Further discussion, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on to agenda item 18.3, approval of the 26-27 liquor licenses. We have a listing of those in front of us of the various categories. Council, can we approve these in block, or?
Yeah, you can approve it in block as long as they, usually it's the liability and that they have and their real estate taxes are paid.
I'll make a motion to approve liquor license from 7/1/26 to 6/30/27 presented by staff.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported by Councilor Berquist. Any further discussion on any of the businesses or items there? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have our liquor flowing for you. All right, moving next to agenda item 18.4, tax forfeit properties. That's a deep hole.
Yeah. So this was brought to my attention that there was one specific property that we had kind of looked into in the past that is technically in our budget at this point, being that we haven't used any of our capital funds for our land use, but it is 426 South 2nd Street East. If anyone wants the parcel number, it's 100-0077-003220. So it actually, the property that we were looking at purchasing, I don't know the timeline, but a while ago where they had countered with a significantly higher number from us, it's actually just 2 parcels south, or well, 2 properties south. There's multiple parcels in that one, but so it's essentially near Essentia Health on the northern portion of the trailer park starting. So
Are they empty lots?
there's a trailer on it, so it would require demolition.
It's on 3rd Street, right?
No.
It is on South Second Street East. Yep,
It's one of
Oh,
the,
Second Street.
Yeah.
it's one of the blighted
Yeah.
tax forfeits.
What's the price on it?
it is, $12,200.
And then the city would have to demo?
Yep.
It's another $5,000. Okay.
Is there any availability to apply for IRRR funds for demo?
Yes.
The pot will refill, they go on the fiscal year,
July
so the pot will refill on July 1st.
So we can apply for demo money at that point in time? Does that affect the burnt property demo?
Yeah, hopefully not.
As long as it wouldn't affect both of them. And then what do we have set aside for blighted purchases?
Thought it was 13,000, last I had. Yeah, 13,000 for capital purchases for Blade.
So it's within the budget.
And are there other competing parcels that we'd be wanting to use the same money for, or is this,
Nothing in
this is
budget.
really anywhere?
Yeah, I can promise you nothing's even close to that, the 13,000 right now. So this is the only one that fell, at least in budget, but
Well, is this parcel adjacent to any other parcels we've acquired?
so the one that,
No.
yeah.
No. Good.
The one that we were trying to acquire, if you remember, we were working with that realtor. It's just 2 parcels south of that, so.
We don't have the parcel between this one and the one to the north of it?
Let me take a peek here.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I thought that was a vacant parcel between this one and that one.
We don't know.
Or this.
It's all by the corner.
I can have
Is
it.
it? I thought there was a
We own,
space.
we own
No,
a
it-
parcel
yeah.
across behind it, I think, pretty close.
Yeah,
Across the alley.
it looks like not much is owned by Aurora near there.
Across the street.
So we've got a few parcels down there. I would think.
No, unless you're referring, are you referring to
Did
east
you
side?
say 426 South Second Street East?
Yeah.
So 425 South Third, on Third, I'm sorry.
Behind it.
It'll go across Second. But right across Third is one owned by the city, which is,
Well, it strikes me it's consistent with our long-term objective of trying to acquire those lots. We have money available, and if we can get demolition cost reimbursement, that's usually not 100%, right? How much does the county give us? 50 or?
It's 2/3 or $3 a square foot, whatever, more, something like that.
Well,
It's not the majority, but it's not nothing either.
yeah,
Everything helps.
puts it more in the ballpark there. So council,
I'd make a motion to purchase it.
all right, moved by Councilor Berquist to purchase, Councilor Keen supports. Any further discussion?
I think it's too much, but we've been trying to find parcels, I mean, we're gonna have 12,000 plus maybe 2,000 out of it, that we don't get funded, so you're gonna end up with $14,000 and live there a lot.
How long has it been available?
County's had it for sale for a long time.
Well, this is to the county.
Yes. This is one of the few that we were able to get them to well, the only one that they reduced after the Board of Equalizations and Appeal in April.
Because we were hoping that-
was reduced.
Yeah, we were hoping that home by Lucky 7 there was reduced, and it wasn't, so. And if it was definitely not a significant reduction, so.
No, it was not reduced. Not from what I can see in the.
I was gonna say that.
documents, so
Yeah, so.
they still want 54 for that one.
Yeah, it does bring to mind that that's probably a higher priority tax forfeit parcel acquisition for the community.
Quadruple the
Yeah.
amount we have budgeted right now.
But it's
so,
just not in our budget.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
definitely more of a priority.
And the one near the school is what are they asking?
That's, I think they were asking 54 the last I looked.
But
for
that's not-
that one, that,
201.
okay, right.
Yes.
that's
It
not
was
available.
around 50,000, yes. It was very high.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was very high, so, and it still is. So,
Well, it makes this lot seem like a bargain, but again, the significance for the community is just radically.
Well, I think no, so the assessed value of 74, is it on the over-the-counter sale list yet?
I think
I
so.
believe it's, I think
Okay.
we're on the over-the-counter list. Because they just updated the spring pamphlet.
It is $54,600 listed on the sale book, in the sale book.
But I think the planning and zoning deemed that a non-buildable lot, and there's no sewer
Right.
service to it.
Yeah, the county needs to reassess that one. but-
So that,
Really damage the road.
Seems to have escaped the appraiser's sort of knowledge on that of the utility for any purpose.
What's the appraised value on this trailer court one?
I'm sorry, say again.
What's that appraised value on the trailer court one?
I would have to,
County's more.
Should show up on the,
It should be 12, right around.
it looks like right now, the total market value is $12,400.
that's what county said it, that's what they want.
But yes, there was, what, did I say 12,200, so they're giving us a steal.
The county's kind of setting the, you know, the
Right.
price at the fair market value, they're not
yeah,
negotiating anymore.
No.
And that's why when they have an auction, they only sell 1 or 2 parcels.
Yeah.
70-some parcels last time, they only sold 3 out of all.
So, again, we've got the motion in a second. My opinion on this one is that there are broken windows in this property. It's a trailer home. It is harboring things. It is growing things and harboring things at this point, and it was identified as one of the major blight properties by the North Shore Development Group at both the planning and zoning and the HRA
There's
meetings.
1, 2 trailers south of there, I'd get all over by then.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but
Very good.
this is directly adjacent to one of those, so that should also open up and expose more of that as well if we're able to demo it.
If you go back to that conversation about the burn building and how, so it's a hazardous building, so we have the ability to demo it and then assess the cost against the property, then it goes tax forfeit. Well, this one's already tax forfeit, so we could proceed with the dangerous building stuff, but then we would be spending money without getting it back.
yeah.
This gives us the opportunity to just own it and do that.
Right.
Okay, further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, so we will acquire that and look forward to bargains in the tax forfeit market in the future. Moving on to agenda item 18.5, community center microphones. We have materials in the packet there. Is this Arch Key Group any more confident on what to put in the first set of AV things, or what?
No, I think what's great about it is I think that those who actually installed the equipment did a phenomenal job. It was the users, I think, that were trying to operate it that were of issue. And I would never in my life put buttons on the top of things so someone cannot see them, but they are on the top. So anyone public-wise as well, please use a ladder. Well, we don't let people in there, it would be council, but use a ladder to use the microphones, because there's an on-off switch that we clearly were toggling every time we reached up there for something. So they did send instructions, and that was one of the pieces that we highlighted, and now it's in there. So hopefully, your user will ever run into that issue again. But this specifically, when they didn't come in person, it was a Teams meeting in that little room, showing them the equipment, and they had said that this setup that we currently have is sufficient for those handheld microphones, but not the gooseneck microphones for on tables or things like that. So this proposal specifically is for a system that is sufficient for those gooseneck microphones. It would look the same as what it does currently, but just an additional box. And then now we would have the gooseneck microphones here on the tables. And does it say how many microphones are in that?
8.
I think I said 8 to them, and they said that was the maximum that they could put on one system. So that was what we can get. But I did look into the warranty. I contacted the salesperson, and he said there's a 1-year warranty with these. So just something to think about. But if we do plan to utilize this facility more for public hearings, I think the microphones should be pursued at some point. It's just a matter of if it's now or later. So this was the proposal they provided to us. So just looking for feedback regarding
So these would be amplifying microphones on the individual things, not just recording? In other words, if we were sitting here with those 8 microphones, we were talking into them, it would go into the overhead sound projection system, or?
Yeah.
Because of what, the ones we have in the council, I think, are primarily just recording the voice. Are they rather than amplifying it?
I'm by no means a microphone expert, but what I do know is it pairs with these speakers. It's the exact same as the handhelds.
Okay.
So it's set up literally for these new speakers that were placed during that construction project.
And the handhelds would still continue to be able to
It would be
operate.
a different system, yep, so, and I did ask, so, cause then I was saying 10 originally, 10 of the gooseneck microphones, just doing a rough count in my head. And then he had said you actually could use the 2 systems at one time, it might create, and he used a term for it, but, some feedback issues. But essentially, he said, yep, it's 2 separate systems, so you could use the handheld. So for example, if we wanted a podium, if we had public that wanted to come and speak, we could essentially have that set up over there, as well as continue the goosenecks over here, so.
Well, I haven't used the roster before and the microphone system. I do think we are not doing as good a job currently as we could be for speakers to have something that is a wider area receiving and is on the podium as opposed to speakers, holding one of the portable mics. It seems to be at least the limited experience we've had since the community center's been done. So.
I'll make a motion to
Moved by Councilor
upgrade.
Hess to approve the proposed upgrade. Is there support? Supported by Councilor Hanson. Further discussion? Councilor Berquist,
Where's the money coming from?
I just provided the microphone.
So do we have money in the budget to do this?
That
Is there-
wasn't budgeted for specifically, so we have to.
is there money in the community center renovation project still left or not?
No, that grant was used up, so.
That's all
yep,
used up,
yep,
okay.
which looks phenomenal.
So we don't have an answer.
So if we were to approve this, to Councilor Berquist's point, where would the money come from?
I rely on the treasurer for that.
Well, I can't give it on the spot. I would have to do some digging and see what's available, but off the top of my head, I'm gonna say it's not available, but I'll look.
We change my motion
Table?
to, no, not to table it. I'll make a motion to buy approving that we find funding.
Sure.
All right, Councilor Hess has changed his motion, and Councilor Hanson, you're agreeable to that? So we will have some further investigation, I guess, on the available funds. Further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so that'll be coming back to us, I gather then.
We can have a gambling.
Pardon?
We can have a gambling.
Can we?
No, well, we cannot.
We can't.
I think we can.
I thought we,
For the community center?
the gambling fund was the suggestion. All right, moving on, easements for the stormwater project. Any explanation on?
Is there anything about that?
I think that's it. I'm sorry?
Is there anything for that somewhere?
No, we'll have to table that. No, I did not get that finalized in time. So I put the agenda together on over the weekend and then didn't have time to finalize that. So I apologize. We'll table that. Again, the old business will be really long next time, Doug. So
I'll make a
Motion
motion
to
to table.
moved by Councilor Berquist to table, supported by Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Table. 18.7, I assume we don't have to actually take action. Isn't that just public notification that we're going to be closing the offices?
yes, and it actually, because of the pre-construction meeting, we had to change our OSHA safety training. So that is for a staff internal OSHA safety training. So we did have to move that. Thankfully, they were able to accommodate us needing that switched. So it would be June 10th. It is a Wednesday. So it went from Monday to a Wednesday. So Wednesday, June 10th. So not necessarily, I mean, we could make a motion, I suppose I would rely on.
I usually make a motion if you're closing the office.
Entertain a motion
I
to,
move we approve offices being closed on June 10th.
Counselor Hanson moves, supported by Counselor Keen. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Charitable gambling request for the warming shack, 18.8 on our agenda. City Administrator?
So there was kind of a circuitous route on how the funding for the warming shack came to be, starting out with a donation request or donation offer from Adolphson Peterson, who was working on the industrial park in the spec building. And the initial conversation that they had with what they would be doing in-kind services for construction of the building. And there was some later debate over what various members of that firm had or hadn't promised. But they did wind up doing a lot of the in-kind labor, and also some other labor that was intended to be hired out to a general contractor. Turns out right now they're about 80,000 into their work. A decent chunk of that they do consider a donation, but they don't really have a firm number on what's donation. What they're saying is that they would like to get 50 or 60,000 towards the project. 62 was what they were looking for. That's probably a little high, looking at the numbers, but seen as probably giving them, was it 42? I don't have that up in front of me. But that based on the conversations that had taken place and what they had offered, that a $42,000 payment to them for services rendered, because they did do quite a bit on that, part of which was to be donated, and part of it we would have had to hire a separate contractor to do. And looking to use half of that from charitable gambling funds. It is a pretty expensive amenity to the park, and we'd have to use the rest out of, be an unbudgeted cost, we'd have to use city funds for that. We're looking to use, was it 21 or 21.5 that we're looking to use out of?
Just pay for your golf day.
22, but we had talked
Pay for your
about
golf
that
day.
CD that matured now and taking the interest out of that when it transfers over, and there's roughly 35,000 interest in there.
Yeah, so generally not a great practice to mush council budget items together. But the CD that we'll have the council vote on and update the signers on, there was a CD with Wells Fargo that just matured, had a 3.25% interest rate on it. It was kind of left over from previous investments, hadn't been transferred over to Ellers. We talked with our investment people at Ellers about whether or not that was the best use of it. Love the Ellers folks. We got a really clear response back. The response was, that is not a good rate. so they can beat the interest rate for it. But there would be money available for the interest that has been earned on that CD before we roll it over to Ellers Investments to cover the rest.
So how much are you actually asking from the gambling funds?
20.
20?
Then the rest would be the interest on the CD.
And there's how much in our,
That would leave 10,000 in the gambling funds. But we don't typically, in past practice, go through that much in the gambling funds. We also will be receiving, so.
when do we receive some between now and the end of the year?
Yep, they're supposed to pay quarterly to the city within the month following after the quarter ends. So like quarter ends end of June, we should receive funds in July. Quarter ends in October.
Your statute says it's supposed to pay monthly.
report monthly, yeah.
Yeah,
The reporting monthly, yes.
You
Yep.
don't have to do that.
but it says, I thought it said pay quarterly, but monthly reports.
So just a question, just to clarify. So this, I mean, it's awesome that this company did all this work and is donating so much. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be paid, but was the work agreed upon that they chose to do? It wasn't like they just kind of carte blanche did a bunch of work and then are now asking to be paid for it, or just clarifying? Did we?
Yeah, could we have gone out for competitive bids to do
Well,
that?
I just wondered, like, how did that come about? You know, I'm not saying it isn't owed, I'm just asking, how did it come about? And the second part of my question is, the building, like, is it getting siding or something? I haven't looked at it in the last, like, super recent, but like how the bottom half was kind of like dingy from the snow and everything, is that getting siding or something so that it looks like the beautiful asset to our community?
Yes.
Well, so starting backwards there at the last question. There's still some sophistication stuff to be done, and then our crew will be painting it.
Okay.
Big prime seven today.
Yeah, so.
Oh, they did, okay, awesome. I figured as much, you know, I saw it, but I just wanted to look beautiful in the summer, people are at the splash pad.
And then on that broader question of the scope of work, I think there have been a few different people at the company that had different things in mind on what they were promising when they offered in-kind services to build the building. And that turned into kind of a wild goose chase to try to chase down who promised what to who. But then when they did it was agreed that they would do the work, there was not a dollar amount that was discussed. Based on what they have calculated as the cost, they were most likely paying top labor rates for the work that they did, because they did it in-house with their crew. So their cost was probably substantially higher than it would have been, which is where kind of this balancing act of what's the donation and what's the actual cost that they're out. We don't want to, they did give a donation, but for us to pay what it would have been their actual labor rates on that would have been an inflated cost, I think.
So the next question to go off of that is, what are the ramifications for us not going out for bids for that work to do that? Because they've offered to donate in-kind services, and aren't we legally required to request bids for projects? I might be wrong, but
It's all donated,
Smaller projects that are required to get quotes or whatever.
and it was all donated funds. It wasn't,
right,
it
so
wasn't
that's,
grants, it wasn't public taxpayer money.
okay,
So,
To
Well,
Councilman
but it
Berkeley's
will
point,
be-
should it have been bid? That's kind of what you're.
There-
right.
I didn't manage this project, so I can't speak to specifics on how we got here, but I do know there was a scope item that was gonna be contracted out that they ended up doing. And so that's where the additional cost is coming in. So it was it like siding or something? Like, I forget what it was. Like, I can follow up and get that answer for you. Luke, the previous administrator, understands this very well on how we got here.
It was the interior finishing.
Was it? Okay,
I think we
There-
should contact Luke and see where it comes from.
okay.
In terms of using gambling proceeds essentially for a city public works project, is that within our guidelines? I know we
But yes, it
specify,
would be for a park, so yes, it would be within the state guidelines, yes.
all right, because it's not like a separate nonprofit. We're basically using it ourselves and that's okay?
But we'd be giving it to the contractor who provided work in a park, so that would be classified under when we fill out that form, is park,
It's a
park
improvement.
yes.
Yeah, it's a park improvement and it seems to me we're investing in our own asset, right? Essentially.
And then you said that would be just part of it, would be the gambling, the 20,000? But then we were talking about potentially using the interest from CDs that
Yes.
matured. Now, wouldn't that be considered taxpayer money though? And not gambling?
Correct, and that would be an allowable use.
It is.
So between the charitable gambling and the interest, how much would we be coming up with?
42.
We said 42 or 43? 42.
42.
42, okay, 42,000 total. I'm sure the corporation has the ability to write off charitable donations too, so I'm not feeling terribly. I was appreciative of all the efforts they put into it, but I don't think financially they're gonna be hurting on this.
They weren't the only organization that made donations. I remember Caring for Kids, and there were several other contractors and other organizations that pitched in one way or another
Yeah,
on that building, so.
or like, it was a poster child project. I mean, I think there were 12 donors sort of corporately and 3 individual. Yeah, it's a great, I think certainly the amount we'd be investing here would be a small portion, right, of the overall cost. Didn't they go over 200,000?
It was a lot, yeah, I would have to go over it, but they were the most significant donor by a long shot. I mean, yes, there were other donors, but
To Councilor Hess's point, would it be advisable to table this to get some input from Luke or not? Some background that he may have been more involved in those negotiations?
I'd like to get some information on who he's the one that set this all up. I want to see that information first.
there was a resolution for those on council that we gave to Adelson and Peterson regarding that. So this is over that amount that we wrote in that resolution that they can use for legal purposes for donations for the in-kind services. So this, and they have been waiting for this since March of this year, so just want to point that out as well. So this is something that they inquired to us back in March. So we have been kind of looking, seeing where we could pull funding. So this was our idea. We have sat on this for a while just to let you know what staff's done since receiving this. Hey, we went way over. Is there anything we can do? So these were our ideas that we came up with that were the least burdensome.
What was that, the amount in that resolution?
I would have to verify, but I thought it was like 100 and I would have to verify. I'm not even going to try to pull the number right now.
For AP. Specifically on my funding sheet, it said 62,000 in labor donated.
There you go.
That was our resolution to.
I don't know what the resolution said, I
Donation
just.
of in-kind services? If there's an
No,
amount.
that's what this
said
is
But
referring.
that's the question, if there's a resolution for what we approve for in-kind services, then.
But that's where they came up with that ask that Jeff had mentioned right away. Regarding the additional, that's because it went over that resolution amount that we originally talked about. They were originally planning on donating this. And it said like the labor and the materials at that amount. So I'll pull it up while we are here, but just to, yes.
This is out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
because if it's 80,000 that they said it came to, and they had promised to, or we approved up to 60-something thousand.
Well, I don't think it was 80,000 that it came to. I think that's why I said the 100, because they came up with the dollar amount that they were saying this is how much we
okay.
went over based on our resolution. So, and I think that's the only documentation that would ever specify dollar amounts was that resolution. And that was just so they could, for tax write-off purposes for their corporation, they could say, hey, it's not a necessarily dollar donation, but it is a monetary donation in other ways. They are giving the materials, they're giving the labor that they would have got other places. So anyway.
To the point Councilor Hanson was making, out of the total costs that we, of creating the warming shack, did we have city money in that as a portion? That was all those private donors?
Correct.
Anything else?
We had gambling funds, I thought.
Yes, we had the original gambling, yeah, but no general levy dollars,
No general
levy dollars.
And so I'm looking at correspondence with Pat Sims from AP. Their total calculated cost that they have in the project is $113,495. And the difference between that and what was laid out in the resolution is $51,495.
Yes, there you go. So that's how they came up with this ask of us.
Well, and looking at it in retrospection, we were successful in getting an enormous level of donation from other people for something that we probably would have paid for in the first place, right, to do. And maybe our bargain isn't as good as we would have hoped or something. So.
And it was, 62,000 was in the resolution for those, yeah. So we said 55,000 of it, would be the labor and 7,000 would be materials. So I think when Jeff had talked about that other contractor doing that, I think it just really took them by surprise. So this would just be our way of thanking them with some sort of compensation. It is a very nice asset to Aurora. Brought up the policy just last council meeting, so definitely something that we'd like to acknowledge that we understand you guys went way over. We are very appreciative. So this was our way of, again, the least burdensome.
If they were to be $40,000, they should have come and talked to us about it.
Kind of how I feel. I mean, I wouldn't like it if the contractor did that for me. I'm not appreciative, but I'd like to see the numbers. And I guess at this time, I would, do we have a motion on the table or no?
I don't believe so, no.
I would make a motion that we table it and ask for information from Luke or the group. So we have all of those numbers that you just read out in front of us, and an explanation of why they went over, why they thought it was okay to go over, or I don't know.
Just
Just a rationale, so
a
that
little bit
we,
more to put it in perspective.
yeah,
You know, if we could have the project budget and what we've approved and where we would get the
yeah,
funding.
I wasn't part of that approval process, it was before my time, so I just like the history.
Okay, so that's a motion essentially to table.
To
right,
table
with
or
instructions
more
to the
information,
staff.
yes.
If there's support by Councilor Hanson, any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we'll look forward to, I'm sure AP will survive somehow. Let's see, we'll check, moving on to agenda item 18.9, proposed resolution 2026-25 is clarifying for banking purposes, I believe, the authorized signatures. Is that
Yeah, when it came time to liquidate this CD at Northern State Bank, send it to Ellers. We're not actually listed on, as a signer on this, so this resolution would just allow us to sign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
This first resolution is going to modify the authorized signers on, so that the ones listed can sign for anything. So we don't run into this going forward. The second motion for the certificate of deposit is so that the current authorized signers can go and sign and release that CD so we can send it to Ellers.
All right, so dealing with the first resolution, kind of a blanket authorization of signers for the bank accounts there at Northern State Bank. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we adopt resolution 2026-25.
Moved by Councilor Hanson, supported by Councilor Berquist. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 1810, now clarify, I don't believe I had any of the materials in there on the certificate of deposit. What action are you looking for from the council?
So the certificate currently at Northern State Bank that we want released was signed prior to all of you. And in order for them to release those funds so we can send it to Ellers, we have to have a motion saying that you can sign to release that CD.
Okay, and who would be signing?
I thought that was a resolution.
That was
Three to approve the three.
But-
Is there another?
So what's the,
The same three
I thought there was
that
a
are,
certificate of deposit that needed council direction on that. I thought we were moving from Westburg to Northern State Bank now.
It's at Northern State Bank, it's not at Wells Fargo.
I have no idea, but do we not do anything with this then? That's all they're asking.
so if we've approved this other resolution, is
Yeah, that's
adequate?
sufficient, that is
So
sufficient for now,
That's sufficient for
yes.
both purposes.
But I didn't know, sorry, I didn't know there didn't need to be a second. I was
Well,
otherwise-
just kind of the fine point here, the resolution authorizing signers, that's the council telling the bank that these people have the authority to sign.
Yes.
And then the other action that we would want is the council telling the signers to go ahead and transfer that CD.
There you go.
I have a question. You mentioned the amount of interest, 35,000. Does can that be held back if the rest of the CD amount goes to Ellers? Because depending on what we come up with on the tabled item 18.8,
Yep, so we wouldn't hold it back, we would let the whole amount go. And then I can request, if you guys want, I can request a withdrawal from Ellers. And they will deposit it back into our checking.
Is that gonna be with a penalty or no penalty?
No penalties.
all right.
Okay, I entertain a motion to authorize us to sign on the certificate of deposit.
I'll make the motion.
Assume, well, any of the three here, right, can sign it.
Two
Moved by
signatures.
Councilor Hanson. Two?
Two signatures.
Two signatures. All right. I'll sign and
That,
Jeff?
no, that's accurate. Go with, that resolution is accurate. That's good to go.
Yes, I know.
Yes, but there will only need to be two signatures.
Two
for the
signatures.
Yeah, I think
deposit.
just directing that it be signed, and then.
All right,
Yes.
directing that it be signed is the motion on the table and made by Councilor Hanson and it was supported by Councilor Hess.
Yep.
All right, so further discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Any other business we have to take care of?
Mr. Mayor, I know I'm out of order, but when you went through correspondence, you glossed by my correspondence to the council. I didn't hear any discussion about my parks request that was sent in to the council. I was told that it was gonna be on your, or included in your packets. There's a huge amount of community interest in this issue, and I would really like to know where the council's gonna go with it. I know I'm out of order, I'm sorry.
No,
Is that what you would ask? You want to speak on that?
well, yeah, we have him
You
speaking.
can ask me a comment on
We
what
also-
I thought, but nobody addressed my actual request at all.
You submitted a letter, sir, it's not on the agenda for the council at this time. If they want to bring it up at a future date.
I understand that, but I would like to have seen that at least introduced as, but there's a lot of public interest, and I think people want to know what's going to happen. They know I've sent you this letter. They want to know what you're going to do about it. And otherwise it looks like, oh, we got this letter, let's throw it in the garbage and we'll just move on.
They don't have to do anything if they don't.
I know they don't have to. I'm just asking
If we
they
were
can.
to do something in light of the comments that were made, the discussion, it seemed like we admitted that we can't bind the hands of future councils, but nevertheless, couldn't this council adopt some kind of a resolution that is for the foreseeable future, and it's withdrawn or something? Is that something that we could do lawfully
We
as a
can look
council?
at that if so directed.
Well, in one respect, the fact that planning and zoning took those parcels, pulled them back, is one thing. I mean,
That was off the last, that was just off the zoning request, so. I'd like to see it pulled off whatever development list there is out there. I mean, I think most members in the community would like to see the same thing. And that's really why I'm here, and that's why he's here. That's, you know, I'm sure if we needed to do it, we could do a community-wide petition and get hundreds and hundreds of signatures that would feel the same way. And
How about if staff draws up at least a proposed resolution that we could consider at a future meeting to,
Looking into.
look into how to word it and,
I appreciate it.
well, I think
That's really what we're looking for.
we need to
Something
confer
else.
with the attorney to make sure we're not,
Yeah,
you know, binding future councils.
right.
But
I'll work with Jeff and Lindsay and.
kind of an expression of current intent, not necessarily assuming that it would always be binding. But if staff could put something together, they would. All right, are there other matters?
Sure.
So I'll make a motion to direct staff to look into and formulate some kind of resolution that removes Central and Sunset Parks from development for the time being, as to the extent that we can.
All right, moved by Councilor Berquist, is there support? Supported by Councilor Hanson. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, Any other matters that we have?
This one thing I thought about, and we've discussed in the past, the policy for this building as far as the use of the AV equipment and the discussion tonight about the microphones. Do we know if the AV equipment is it covered by the city's insurance policy? For damage, theft, things like that? I don't need answers, I'm just, because if there is a deductible, if it's covered and there would be a deductible, that might be a place to look as far as a fee for people that want to use it, so that they cover the deductible. And and another thing that different people have pointed out, and I've noticed myself, if you're sitting in different places in this building when the address system is being used, this area up here is too live. And maybe if we could have somebody look at ways to deaden the sound. A gentleman one night mentioned, just as a thought, which we've got a quilting club in town that likes to display stuff. If maybe we hung wires just on that,
Yeah, just some sound deadening.
it's something to absorb and kill some of this live sound in here. Just two thoughts that, as long as we were talking about the building and the AV system.
That would also provide some art and color in here.
Great.
All right, well, point duly noted. If no other matters, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported by?
Something to say, I have one other question.
Oh, one other question.
And it's in regard to the city's ordinance on the 10% development in the Lislegard edition. So does that apply to the Lislegard edition, the 10% park? So do we have that in the plotting?
It doesn't say park. It's a pretty explicit ordinance, so no, that's inaccurate. It actually, I was nervous about that for the industrial park more. They're both well sufficient. So yes, it encompasses streets, public right of ways. Does not, I mean, yes, parks is a listed item. It doesn't just say parks. So nor does our ordinance cover anything about green space. So just to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yep.
To the benefit of the Lislegard addition, there is a lot of undevelopable wetlands there, right? And so there is open space of necessity, right?
Same with the industrial park. So we're pretty safe with the amount of outlaws that we have.
All right.
Richard made motion to adjourn.
Okay, the motion to adjourn has been supported by
I'll support.
Councilor Hanson. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned until 6 o'clock.